All right. The next thing is self-help. I want to talk a little bit about self-help, which I brought up in my rant about the prison system. But there was a little thing that I realized when I was reading that study. You know, self-help, in especially in the 2010s, was something of a literary fad. People wrote self-help books, and people read the self-help books, applied those as like rules for life and whatever. Jordan Peterson was a significant figure in this. You know, some of these self-help rules and books were good, some of them were not so good, some of them were meh, but consistent to all of them, and also consistent within this prison study, is something that I consider to be the mark of late-stage capitalism, and that is the ultimate assumption that the only person who will ever help you in this world is you. And that is an assumption that I intend to dispel right away. Because it is fucking stupid and unhealthy and will not help you if you keep that assumption. Ironically, if you go with the self-help assumption that you are the only person that will help you in this world, then you will never get the help that you need. And I think that attitude, that is, even if they don't, if the authors like don't realize this, that is reinforced by self-help books everywhere, is that it is every man for themselves, and by sort of saying that nobody will help you but you, it's up to you to help yourself. It sort of it reduces the amount of potential trust that a person could have in their surrounding community, and it I think damages a collective psyche that people have slash had and really should have. That it there shouldn't really be anything discouraging people from going to a therapist, getting therapy, seeking what would be considered external help for problems that they have. And of course, there's also the very significant factor that money is a thing that you need to go to see a therapist, and that also sucks a lot, like a very large amount. And in the case of the prison system, we see this attitude exemplified to its worst extremes. People engage in self-help tactics in prison that I mentioned earlier, like looking over your shoulder, making weapons, seeking contraband to defend yourself with, or even joining up with certain prison cliques to go and harass other prisoners as a method of like preemptive deterrence, so that they don't harass you, making sure that they don't snitch, so that you don't get in trouble and all that. If there were mental health services offered, if guards were better at policing prisoners abusing other prisoners, or if guards were better at not abusing prisoners themselves, people would not need to go to the self-help mantra. In other words, self-help is what happens when society has already given up on you, or it is what happens in your head when you think that there is nothing else in this world for you. At least the kind of self-help that I'm referring to here. People can be free to say like, oh, self-help has worked for me, and I will congratulate you, and then promptly smack you in the face by telling you that you would be better off if you sought out positive figures in your life, or just went to a damn therapist. Unless you're American, in which case maybe don't go to the therapist, because that costs fucking money, and 60% of people can't afford to pay their bills each month. So but that's what I mean when I say that society has already left you, like hung you out to dry, before you can even really consider self-help, is because the assumption there is that you need to do the self-help because external help is not possible. And why else wouldn't it be possible unless, whatever. I think I've rambled for long enough. Self-help is bad not because it is necessarily unhelpful to people, but because it reinforces existing attitudes of social isolation that are a product of late-stage capitalism and locking mental resources and a good social life behind a paywall. And I'll leave it there. I think that was a relatively well put together ending statement to that whole thing.